and welcome to another episode of Anime Splash. In Anime Splash, we look at the first 3 episodes of an anime, and then after that we determine whether or not we want to continue watching the entire anime or just not watch it at all. So I'm Neil Trotter.
I'm Ricky Morris.
And this week we checked out an anime. It's called Zetsuen no Tempest. So we're going to start off with a plot breakdown by Ricky.
Alright, so this anime is centers around these 2 guys, and they're good friends, and it starts off pretty normally, but one day one of the guys disappears for about a month, like presumably after when his sister got killed, and he wants to find the murderer. So he's suddenly comes back, and he has all these magic powers, and apparently he's made a deal with this mage who's been abandoned on a deserted island to help her stop this group of these mages from summoning this tree that will supposedly destroy the world. And in exchange, she will help the brother find out who killed his sister using her magic. And so he meets up with the other dude, his friend, and they go out, have adventures and stuff, trying to save the world and everything.
Okay, yep, that was a good breakdown of the plot. So let's see, let's talk about some positives. So this anime has, I thought, it has some pretty good music. So they take the orchestraic approach to it. It's very instrumental. It almost sounds like an opera. And there's some anime has that type of sound to it. Not many. Most stick to the whole electronic type of sound. But this one did orchestraic, and there's a reason for that, which we'll get into later. But it was pretty good, I'll say. In terms of just listening to it, it's pretty good. Another thing I actually didn't notate, but another thing I liked about it was the effects. I'm like a real big fan of animation effects. I like when they have good type of effects. They have some fight scenes that are magic based, and they got nice little blurring effects and all types of lighting effects that are really cool. I kind of like them. A lot of the characters disappear and re-teleportation type of stuff, and that's kind of good. And they do a lot of good, interesting things with color, which I liked. So those were some good things. So let's go on to some things, so areas of opportunity, or it's a nice way to put it, or some things I kind of didn't like about the show. Ricky brought this up, and I agree. It has some Shakespearean themes, which are great. Like on the idea, the concepts are cool. I think the execution was not as strong as it could have been. So Ricky was saying, you were saying that one of the characters is kind of like Hamlet because he's looking for revenge.
Yeah, he's like, by any means necessary. He's like, he actually doesn't really care about the world, but he's like, whatever, I'm going to save it as long as I get my revenge or whatever. And the other one's sort of like Romeo, because he's sort of hung up because he loved this, the dude's sister, but it was a secret, but now she's dead, so it's kind of like a lover's tragedy sort of thing, like that. Just like some parts of their character are sort of borrowed from Shakespearean themes.
And there you go. And that's henceforth the orchestraic music. They try and even push that Shakespearean feeling even further with the instrumental music that sounds almost like an opera almost.
I think they quote a couple lines from Shakespeare as well. Sometimes they just throw those in there.
So you can get really deep with if you do it properly. But another trap that you can fall into is that you can become too melodramatic or over the top And I think this kind of went the latter way, where it was kind of too melodramatic and kind of, I don't want to, yeah, it is superficial, but not too superficial, but it's like, it's almost there, like, they were almost at that depth, but no, not quite. It kind of seems a little, just overly emotional, just too emotional, and just very melodramatic, I thought. Yeah. Yeah, so the whole, I mean, that's really what that was. I'll try to think of more to say, but no, it was just kind of, I just personally thought it was a little overdone, and they kind of made it, threw it in there to look a little cool, whereas it's not really so much adding more depth, just make it look kind of cool. That's really just as maybe like a side tangent or a discussion about this. How do you make something that you take something like a Shakespearean theme or any type of theme, and how do you give it a strong quality without being melodramatic or over the top? Well, how you do that is that you add depth to the show and to the story. And if it's not adding depth, if it's just there, just on the surface, then it's kind of just like, oh, you're just throwing it in there to be cool. And I kind of thought that this was it. It kind of makes it look cheesy, although this show isn't really that cheesy. But, I mean, there it is. And take that for what you will. I'm sure people love that Shakespearean thing. I don't know. Maybe you didn't. Another issue I had, which me and Ricky kind of disagree with, but not so. I still don't know exactly where I stand either, or where he stands, is that there's just a lot of stuff going on in this anime. And at first it was kind of hard to follow. Now Ricky didn't have no problem following it at all, but there's just a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of different types of things. So and I'll just go through the list. Just watching the show. They start off in like a high school setting, right? And all of a sudden, dude's like in visiting somebody's grave site, and the girl just comes out of nowhere and pulls a gun on him. And then, they have that whole thing. I'm not trying to spoil it, but I'm just trying to give you an example. These are just like vague descriptions of the storyline. All of a sudden,
yeah, it just sort of starts escalating from there. Just like then the dude comes in, and he's got powers.
Butterflies come out of nowhere.
And then, everyone starts dying, and now there's this, and they start talking about this whole thing where the world's being threatened, and now there's magic and fighting mages and stuff like that.
And it involves these world trees. And then they got this other thing where there's this very strong mage girl that can't use her powers. And so she's got to communicate via some doll with the dude about how to get some talismans and how to use magic. And just all day. And then there's this good dude that comes out looking like Dick Tracy with a spear. He comes out and starts using magic, and they got to take him out while this government agent with a gun is after the other dude. And it's just like all these different things that are happening. And on top of all that, we got this whole thing with the dude trying to get revenge for his sister, and his friend who was going out secretly with his sister, and then the girl's dead. Got that whole thing going on. It's just,
yeah, her death apparently has something to do with the mages in the world-destroying tree. So
yeah, and I didn't know this, but there's actually two trees. There's a good tree and a bad tree, or so it seems. Didn't know that. So there's all this. So there's a lot of mythos in there too, and it's just a lot of stuff going on. And I think that I say there's too many layers that are put on top of the plot that creates a false sense of depth. I think they're trying to make this show really deep, but they did it in a superficial way by just adding on more and more unnecessary layers. I personally, Ricky disagrees, but I personally think the way that magic is portrayed in this show is just too unnecessarily complex. He doesn't feel that way, but I think it could have been a little more straightforward, and it would have been a lot better. But they add all these rules and all these items and talismans and ways and methods of doing things and certain types that only can be done, and it's just like It's kind of, to me it feels like you're just adding all this stuff to make the show you're kind of desperate to make the show look cool, but it's just not working. More it's just kind of like this unnecessary layers of complexity that's not really needed.
I just think they're doing it just to make just sort of the limit the characters from being like too overpowered. Because then because like in like some animes, like they'll have characters with magic, and they can like do anything, and like sometimes in the story, like you'll come to a part where you the viewer are questioning is like, you know, they have all this power, why didn't they do this or why didn't they do that? Or so it's kind of hard to put like a character with unlimited magic powers in a tight spot. Like, but here it's like, you know, there's rules they have to abide by, so things sort of have a structure.
Yeah, I guess that just goes to my personal bias. I actually love overpowered people, but that's good.
Yeah, the characters like that can be fun. It's just,
yeah. I mean, my favorite American superheroes are Spawn and Silver Surfer, like two extremely powerful overpowered characters, which a lot of people don't like because they're too overpowered.
Yeah, but even then, they're still like they go up against characters that are, you know, equally powerful or still like very powerful, and then, because that's what people want. They want people like tension and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, if you keep putting like you have to put them like someone like that's able to actually do that, keep things interesting.
Yeah, and then to go even further, just talking more about this, what I like is when, because what happens is when people are really like super powerful, and if you're really clever with it, what happens is that, you know, because ultimately what the story is kind of about is about like, you know, good, you know, or like a hero versus a villain. And it's a battle, who wins, that's it. But if you're dealing with people who have like almost infinite power, like a lot of power, then you're forced, if you want the show to be good, you're forced to think of other types of conflicts that don't revolve around who's the strongest or like ways of one-upping each other. It gets a lot more complex, and that's why I love like something like Spawn, where it kind of gets a lot more complex. And you know, and so I hear your argument where it's like, you want to add all these rules to make the characters less, you know, not overly powerful, so they can actually have like meaningful conflicts. But you actually can have meaningful conflicts with overpowered characters if you're really clever writing wise.
I'm just saying, like, that's I can see why they did that, just to make things a little bit more.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. I still think that it's just unnecessary. But I see, gotcha. So after watching it, I would not watch it. I would not continue watching the show, and it's not a bad show. You know, it's okay. It's a good show. I mean, if you, it's an okay show. I think it didn't suck. You know, I would, if I saw the 4th episode, I wouldn't be too mad. I'd be like, oh, you know, I didn't go away hating this anime, but I wasn't too interested by it. It seemed like it was really trying very hard to get my attention, and it just was not working for me. It's too bad. But maybe you like this show, I did.
Well, I don't think I'm gonna continue it either. Because I'm just not really interested in myself at all. I just don't see it as that complex. It's just I don't know. I'm just not really, you know, interested in finishing it or anything like that.
Yeah, it just doesn't really have any cool aspects, I guess, in your mind. I don't know. Yeah, sometimes you gotta have something to like draw you in. And this one just didn't have that. But that's just us too. If you think if it has something that draws you in for you, feel free to comment on our YouTube. I mean, that's all good on the page. Just, you know, speak your mind. Be like, hey, you know, this anime really did grab me because this and that and other thing, and we'll check that out. Hear what you have to say. That's cool. But yeah, I would not continue watching the show. But it's not a bad show. You might want to check it out if you're into the whole Shakespearean theme, magic using type of thing. So, any last minute points? No. Until next time, check us out as always. This is Anime Splash.